You think Cars is a movie about a cocky race car learning to slow down. That's what they want you to think. Because underneath that, there's a WW2 massacre. There's survivor's guilt. There's an entire hidden war with nuclear weapons, a car holocaust, and a squadron of rookie fighter jets who all died screaming under a sky full of anti-aircraft fire. And Pixar hid it in plain sight for 20 years. Welcome back, Mr. Blessed here. And today we're pulling back the hood on something Pixar buried so deep, most people never found it. After going through every frame of canonical lore, official character biographies, creator interviews, deleted scenes, and enough academic analysis of animated Cars to probably get me a degree, here's what I found. We're going to break down who these characters actually fought, what it cost them, and why the implications of this universe get genuinely disturbing the longer you stare at them. There are 3 layers to this. The first one will shock you, the second one will unsettle you, and the third one, the one almost nobody talks about, might actually keep you up at night. Let's go. Before we get to the massacre, you need to understand what's actually hiding inside Radiator Springs. Sarge, the little olive green Jeep. Most people think he's just comic relief, the grumpy military guy who argues with a hippie bus every morning. Background character, Set Dressen. He is a 1941 Willys MB military Jeep, and he is a decorated combat veteran of World War II. Not metaphorically, canonically. His license plate literally reads 41WW2. His door markings carry his rank. His hood bears a white star and the identification number 984,673. He served in the U.S. Army as a sergeant major in the Quartermaster Corps, meaning he was responsible for supplying troops with equipment, ammunition, and rations during active combat. And Pixar wrote him a specific battle, a specific act of heroism, a specific medal. During the Battle of the Bulge, December 1944, the frozen Ardennes forest, the last major German counteroffensive of the war, one of Sarge's close comrades lost his track. In the vehicular universe, that comrade was a tank, a heavily armored multi-ton tank, immobilized, sitting in a combat zone with enemy artillery closing in. Sarge, a quarter-ton utility Jeep, hitched himself to that tank and towed it out, under fire. For that, he was awarded the Grill Badge of True Metal, the vehicular equivalent of the Silver Star, or the Bronze Star with Valor. He keeps it on display at his house. Not in a drawer, not in a box, front and center, every day. Think about that the next time you watch him mow his lawn at 6 a.m. and yell at Fillmore about Jimi Hendrix. That's not just a bit about a grumpy old veteran. That's a vehicle who watched friends get blown apart in one of the bloodiest campaigns of the Second World War, who dragged a dying comrade out of a kill zone, and who now copes by maintaining military structure in a town that the modern world completely forgot about. His Mother Road survival kit? He sells it with the guarantee that it'll help you get through the night and maybe the next world war. He's not being dramatic. He is genuinely, perpetually prepared for another global conflict. That is hypervigilance. That is a combat veteran's brain, running the same threat assessments it ran in 1944, dressed up as a retail product. Pixar put a trauma response in the background of a kid's movie, and nobody noticed. But here's the thing. As dark as Sarge's story is, it's not the darkest one, not even close. I want you to picture a flight instructor. Decorated, legendary, the kind of pilot other pilots talk about. He lives alone in a small town, runs a flight school, never flies. That's Skipper Riley. He's a Vought 4U Corsair, one of the most lethal naval fighters of World War II. Inverted gull wings, 2,000 horsepower Pratt & Whitney engine. The Japanese called it Whispering Death. It held an 11-to-1 kill ratio against enemy aircraft. It dropped 70% of all bombs delivered by US fighters in the Pacific. In the Cars universe, Skipper flew with an elite squadron called the Jolly Wrenches. Their insignia was a skull over crossed wrenches. Their motto, Volo Pro Veritas, I fly for truth. Skipper's specific paint scheme, navy blue, VF-17, stenciled on the fuselage, is modeled directly after the real-world Jolly Roger squadron, their commanding officer's personal Corsair. A man who led his unit to 154 confirmed kills in 76 days of combat. Skipper had that pedigree, that reputation. When the young crop duster Dusty first approaches him for training, he says Skipper flew dozens of missions all around the world, and that his squadron were ruthless killers who showed no mercy. Skipper lets him believe that. And here is where the story turns into something else entirely. Because the truth is this: Skipper Riley only flew one combat mission. One. and every single plane under his command died. The Glendale Canal, a routine patrol. Skipper leads a group of rookies planes barely off the production line, eager, fearless, completely unprepared for what was waiting below the clouds. Jigsaw 2 spots a lone enemy ship. "Turkey shoot," he says. Jigsaws 3 and 4 back him up immediately. The energy in the formation shifts. These are young planes. They want this. Skipper hesitates. He orders them to hold back. "Let's get a closer look. Keep your distance." They descend. They break through the cloud cover. And it's not a lone ship. It was bait. Below them, an entire enemy naval fleet. Guns already tracking. The trap already set. And the Jolly Wrenches are already committed to the dive, already past the point where they have the altitude or the speed to pull out. The anti-aircraft fire opens up and doesn't stop. Jigsaw 2, gone. Jigsaw 3, gone. Jigsaw 4, gone. Jigsaw 36, gone. George, Jigsaw 9, gone. Lucas, gone. Charlie G, gone. Scotty S, gone. Jay McKinley, gone. Skipper is shot out of the sky. He crashes into the ocean. He's pulled out by a rescue team from the USS Fleisenhauer. He is the only one left. Every rookie he trained, every pilot who trusted him, every plane who followed his order to go in for a closer look, all dead, all burned, shredded by shrapnel, blown apart, ripped out of the sky under a wall of flak, because they followed his command and walked directly into an ambush. And he survived. He survived. And they didn't. That is the Glendale Canal. That is what Skipper Riley carries. The creators of Planes confirmed this was intentional. Director Clay Hall, whose father and grandfather were both naval aviators, embedded himself on a Nimitz-class nuclear carrier to study the weight and scale of what he was portraying. He recorded actual World War II aircraft audio. He cast Val Kilmer and Anthony Edwards, the stars of Top Gun, specifically to bridge the gap between family animation and genuine military drama. This was not an accident. They wanted you to feel the weight of it, and when Dusty eventually finds out the truth when he stands on the deck of the USS Fleisenhauer and sees the Wall of Fame, sees the record, sees one mission, he goes back and throws Skipper's own motto in his face. One mission. So much for Volo Pro Veritas, the guy who demanded truth from everyone else, who refused to train Dusty because of honesty. That same guy spent decades lying about who he was, what he did, and who died because of him. The motto was a wall, not a value, a defense mechanism. Skipper's breakdown after that confrontation is one of the most quietly devastating moments in this entire franchise. My whole squadron, under my command. After that, I just couldn't bring myself to fly again. That's PTSD. That's survivor's guilt. Pixar diagnosed a cartoon plane with a specific psychological condition and wrote a treatment arc for it across an entire feature film. The healing begins when he finally speaks it out loud, and it ends when he starts his engine and flies again, not because the trauma is gone, but because he chooses to live despite it. Now, we've established the veterans. We've established the battles. But here's where most people stop, and here's where it gets genuinely dark. If World War II happened in the Cars universe, and it canonically did, then everything that came with it also happened. Follow this logic with me. Pixar confirmed the Axis powers, Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, the Empire of Japan, all confirmed. The war started with the invasion of Poland in 1939. The Pacific theater included carrier battles and naval engagements. The European theater included the Battle of the Bulge. Winston Churchill exists in this universe. He's a Spitfire fighter plane. Franklin D. Roosevelt is a 1936 Ford Phaeton. Neville Chamberlain, the architect of appeasement, is a 1928 Morris Minor. Outdated, fragile, entirely unequipped for what it was facing. General Eisenhower is confirmed as a military jeep. He later became president. The interstate highway system, the same one that destroyed Route 66 and economically murdered Radiator Springs, was his policy, built for military logistics, built to move troops and nuclear ordnance across the country in the event of a Soviet invasion. And in doing so, it bypassed every small town on the Mother Road, including the one where two traumatized veterans live out the rest of their lives, slowly being forgotten. The same government Sarge bled for at the Battle of the Bulge built a highway that erased everything he came home to. But here's the part that breaks the universe open. If Nazi Germany exists in this world, if the Axis powers are real, if the timeline is identical, then Pixar has, whether they intended to or not, written a car holocaust into the background of their franchise. Think about what genocide means here. These aren't flags or uniforms being destroyed. These are sentient beings. beings whose consciousness lives in their engine block, beings who bleed oil when they're wounded, beings who are crushed into metal cubes when intelligence operatives need to be silenced. We see that happen on screen in Cars 2 to a British agent named Leland Turbo. He's alive when the compactor starts. A vehicular holocaust would mean industrial-scale scrapping, sentient machines being stripped of their fluids and melted down for Axis war production, targeted by model, by manufacturing origin, by perceived engineering impurity. And the creators knew this was where the logic led. They built a universe where the worst thing that can happen to you is being reduced to a cube of scrap metal, and then confirmed that Nazi Germany existed in this world. The Pixar writers didn't stumble into this. Franchise creative director Jay Ward laid out the origin story of this universe explicitly. The Cars rose up, decided humanity was dead weight, and killed every human being on the planet. The entire civilization is built on a genocide. That's the foundation. Everything after the World Wars, the Cold War, the domestic terrorism of the Lemon Syndicates grows out of a society born from mass extermination. And then there's the Pacific War conclusion. The USS Fleisenhauer is explicitly a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Nuclear technology exists in this universe. The atomic age happened, which means a car Hiroshima happened. 2 cities of civilian vehicles, vaporized in seconds to end a war. Sentient machines, families, children, the equivalent of millions of lives atomized by a weapon their own government helped build. There's a reason the Cars universe has airport security that requires you to remove your tires. In Cars 2, they walk through TSA checkpoints. In our world, you take off your shoes because of a failed shoe bomber. In theirs, tires come off, which means there was a Car 9/11, which means sentient commercial airliners either willingly flew themselves into buildings as an ideological act, or they were hijacked and used as weapons against their will. Both answers are horrific, and Pixar put a TSA checkpoint in the background and just kept going. Here's the final piece, the one that ties all of it together. In this universe, vehicles don't reproduce. They're manufactured. There are no baby cars that grow up. A Willys MB military Jeep doesn't choose to be a soldier. He comes off the assembly line already wearing olive drab paint, already branded with military markings, already designated for war. His entire existence is predetermined by the factory that made him. When the war needed more soldiers, the government didn't draft civilians. They converted assembly lines. They ordered factories to stop making sedans and start making tanks. They manufactured sentient beings directly into the military, born into rank, born into a war, born to die on a beach in the Pacific or a forest in the Ardennes. That's not a draft. That's something worse. Consciousness as a raw material, sentience as a strategic resource. And after the war, veterans like Sarge end up running surplus stores in dying towns because the highway bypassed them. Veterans like Skipper end up locked in a hangar for decades, unable to fly, lying about who they are because the truth is too heavy to carry. And the Lemons, the vehicles born with factory defects in the 1970s, manufactured flawed through no fault of their own, are mocked, impoverished, and systematically excluded by a society that values aerodynamic perfection as the measure of moral worth. They eventually radicalize. They try to blow up the World Grand Prix, not because they're evil, because they were born broken and nobody helped them. The villain of Cars 2 is a society that manufactured defective people and then laughed at them for being defective. 2 veterans, 2 wars, 2 responses to the same trauma. Sarge deals with it through structure, through routine, through rigid discipline that keeps the chaos at bay. He raises the flag every morning and mows the lawn twice a day and sells survival kits that might help you survive the next world war, because in his experience, there always is one. Skipper deals with it through disappearing, through a lie that protected him from the truth until a crop duster looked him in the eye and called him out. Both of them are abandoned in small towns while the world moves on without them. Both of them carry weight that nobody around them fully understands. And both of them, a Jeep and a Corsair, represent real machines that real human beings drove and flew into real combat, in the real war that Pixar chose to honor with this level of depth. The Willys Jeep was described by General Eisenhower as one of the 4 most vital tools that won the war. The Corsair helped neutralize the most dangerous naval aviation force of the era. The people who operated them, the mechanics, the pilots, the quartermasters came home changed. Many of them never talked about it. Many of them built routines to survive their own memories. Many of them took what happened to their unit to their graves. Pixar made a movie about talking cars, and somehow told that story more honestly than most war films do. The Glendale Canal is real to Skipper, the same way the Ardennes is real to Sarge. The weight is the same. The loss is the same. The silence afterward is the same. That's what they really fought. Not just the enemy fleet, not just the German offensive. They fought to survive what they survived after. And they're still fighting it. In the background of a Pixar movie, every frame,